Hi, my name is Riley Box, and I'm brand manager and engineer here at DarkTide. And today I'm going to go over how to service our Bear Trap Mini, and Ghost pedals. We offer two service kits, both a basic service kit and a complete rebuild kit. In the basic service kit, we include Teflon washers, two IGUS bushings, dust seals, and a fresh set of pins for your pedals. And in the complete service kit, we include everything in the basic service kit, as well as two sealed cartridge bearings and a bearing removal and installation tool. So a couple tools that you're going to need for this, basic crescent wrench or a 1 1/4 inch just to remove this outside bearing cap, a mallet if you're doing the complete service rebuild to knock out the bearings, and then you want some grease, some Loctite, although it's not super necessary, it's nice to have, and then obviously your service kit. We're going to go ahead and we're going to crack the cap off of this. I like to hold the pedal down flat on the table, use a crescent wrench here, and there, loosen it up. We're going to unscrew that cap all the way off, and once that cap's off, the entire axle shaft is going to slide out. So there's our cap. You can see here our Teflon washer sits right between the axle and the bearing cap, and then our whole shaft is going to slide out with both our IGUS bushing and our sealed cartridge bearing on there. So now I'm just going to clean everything up a bit. I'm going to use some isopropyl alcohol, get all the grease and dirt out of there, and then I'll go into taking the bushings, the O-ring off, and popping the bearings out. To get this O-ring out of here, it sits right between the axle cap. I'm just going to need a pick or something sharp, kind of dig in between the edge of the cap and the O-ring, and right there, that pops right out like that. All right, so now that we've cleaned everything, we've taken the O-ring and the Teflon washer out of here, I'm going to go ahead and just pull this bushing off. Sometimes it can be a little hard, but you need to use some pliers or something, you can use that too. Put the old bushing away. Then we have our new bushing, which you'll notice there's a radius side and a sharper side. Make sure where you're installing this that the sharper side goes in so that you have the nice rounded end right there on the edge here. So now that we've taken out the dust seal and the Teflon washer and we've installed the new IGUS bushing, if you had the basic kit, we'd go ahead and reassemble everything right now with some grease. But I'm going to do the full rebuild, the complete rebuild kit. So we are going to go ahead and remove this Enduro bearing, and we're going to install a new one. So to remove and install these cartridge bearings that we have here, we're going to use this nice little bearing install remove tool. You can see one side says remove and the other side says install, and that's which side we're going to use to do each of those things. So to go ahead and remove, I'm going to put the remove side up. I'm going to take my axle, I'm going to put that face down like that in there. I'm just going to take my hammer or mallet and I'm just going to give it a couple good whacks until I knock it out. There we go. See, we've now removed the old bearing. We're going to flip our tool over so that install side is up, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the bearing in there. We're going to put our axle shaft in there. Now we're going to give it a couple good whacks with the hammer until it starts to get close. And now what I like to do is I like to hold this up to the light so that I know there's no gap between the bearing here and the lip. If there is, I'll just give it another whack or two just to make sure that's fully seated. And now we can go ahead and install everything back together. So to go ahead and install the new dust seal, we're just going to push it into here. And sometimes it's a little tricky, but sometimes it goes nice in. So now we've installed a new dust seal right there. So now we're going to go ahead and reassemble everything together. I'm going to use some grease. Take that, apply that on the shaft here. Good bit. Make sure to cover the whole shaft, and especially that bushing at the end. That's kind of your ideal point. And then go ahead and reinstall that back into there. After you get that back in and seated, then you're going to take your Teflon washer, and that just sits over the outer ring here on the shoulder. And before we put on our dust cap here, I'm going to apply a little bit of Loctite to these threads right here on the outside, right there. You notice it has a nice little arrow for which way to tighten it. Way down. Let me go ahead and torque it to about 30 Newton meters, nice and snug. Go ahead and clean the little bit of Loctite off the edge of it. And there you have a fully serviced DarkTide pedal.